What do you do in your daily life? Like, say you have your perfect day or your perfectly supported day. What is it about that day that makes you feel good? So like for me, I realize my morning routine, meditation, doing minor stretching every morning, yoga, journaling, a good pen. So like, again, a good, a journal, a pen that I enjoy writing with, all of, an app for meditating. So like, I'm thinking of like all these things that I support myself with throughout the day, stuff like that. It's actually pretty interesting, right? To start observing yourself. Because I think ever since we're kids, we're conditioned to live a certain way, to have certain habits, certain thoughts. But at some point as a kid, things were all new. We were discovering what we liked. We were discovering how we wanted to do things. And as we've gotten older, we live on autopilot. But the funny thing is that our memories aren't as developed. So I feel like we don't remember that process. We don't remember what it felt like as a kid having everything be new. So it's almost like now that you have the capacity brain-wise, like you have better memory, you have better analytical and like emotional capability, then it's like, okay, let's go back to that time where we questioned everything and looked at everything and observed everything, and then see what decisions we would make differently, having the more developed brain that we have. And get this is crazy. So words can change the brain. Again, blowing my mind right now. But he said that in one study, they found that our emotional capacity isn't actually fully developed until we're about 32, like 31, 32. And I'm 32 right now. And now it makes sense to me why everyone says, oh, when you're in your 30s, everything changes and you feel more confident, you feel all this. And I have learned so much from 30 to 32. And granted, I was reading things, I was like trying, like it took effort to do it, but super excited because at this point, I can now say that my emotional ability is going to be so much better than it was before. So don't be too hard on yourself is also what I'm saying. Like you won't have peak emotional capacity until that point, but still keep learning and growing and set yourself up to really take advantage of that when that time comes. Melik says, kinda have trouble with self-confidence and that effect on motivation and keeping life going. Yeah. Okay. So let's break that down just a little bit. So is the self-confidence trouble coming from like thoughts in your, like the way that you speak to yourself about your ability to do things? So like, is it more like I want to do this thing, but this is why I can't? Our thoughts and the way we speak to ourselves have a huge thing with it. But also like if you're experiencing trauma, if you're experiencing like a negative environment, that all can really add on to it. So I hope everything's okay and I'm here and I want to support you. So Melik says, I really talk myself good things, but kind of I believe that I'm talented, but I want to do my favorite things, but sometimes I feel empty in heart. Interesting. Well, you and me both, sister. I have definitely felt that too, that I'm talented and that I have like the ability to do great things, which is great. And I'm so proud of you for that. And I think that's awesome. Knowing that, do you think that the emptiness in your heart, is that more fear? So are you scared of failing? Are you worried about what other people will think if you do it? But are there people in your life that don't make you feel comfortable to shine your brightest? So you kind of dim it and become smaller than you are? Because that can happen too. But then also, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. There could be something chemical going on, like a vitamin D deficiency or, the weather where you're living. Like it could be a lot of things. This is good stuff, guys. This is so good. I know this makes me so excited. I feel like not a nerd because I feel like nerds are way cooler than I am and smarter, but I just geek out on this stuff. And I genuinely, genuinely love deep conversation. I am not good at small talk. So thank you for being my tribe and wanting to talk about this stuff too. And I hope that you get some benefit, some inspiration from it. Yes. Yep. So the soul ride's saying, let's not forget about somatic and bottom up approaches. that address the fact that our nervous system responses have a tremendous influence on perception and behavior. Yes. Because Joe Dispenza talks about the nervous system. And I don't know if this is exactly what you're talking about from just what I'm thinking of. Thought creates a somatic response, right? So it has been shown that when you think something, there's a chemical reaction that happens in your body, and we tend to fire and wire the same thinking to get the same result, to wire a pattern into our body so our brains can be more efficient in how we live and how we interpret the world. Because imagine how tiring that would be if our brain had to do all these calculations every single time we encountered a situation, right? So it's just literally like a survival mechanism. And so what I think, and tell me if I'm wrong and you can add to this, what I think you're saying is that, Melik, as well, if you have trained your nervous system to respond a certain way to things, that also could be a reason you're feeling that way, because you're just your body is used to leading you that way in the world. I love it. I love it. I am too. He said, forgive me, I'm a card carrying neuro nerd. Yes. I feel like we could have so many amazing conversations about this for sure. I definitely have fear. And that was part of what I was experiencing today, that, oh, if I don't have everything figured out, then it's a waste of time. And if I do this and it fails, then it's a waste of time. But again, that's like perfectionism and fear speaking to you. And so I challenge you, when you feel those thoughts, question it. Like, why am I feeling it? And I think what we were talking about earlier with the somatic experience, like maybe you have wired and fired that fearful reaction in your body. And a lot of times we can be addicted to certain emotions. So even if it's not the best for you, like I know some people who are addicted to fear, who are addicted to sadness, and it's not because they want to be, they just don't realize that that's what's happening. And so they will turn any situation that's happening into sadness, into fear, so that it can feed the neural craving that their body is having. And so if this is too let me know, because sometimes I feel like I say things in terms that are not clear. So let me know. But essentially what I would do is first challenge those thoughts you have and observe yourself. No pressure. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel any of those things, but observe yourself this week. Why am I thinking that? Am I addicted to fear? Am I is it perfectionism? Basically just do a little sleuthing, a little detective work, and see where this is coming from. And then what next best action could you do that's small enough to where it's not a huge risk, but if it goes successful, it could build your confidence. And that's literally how I started with everything. I did a morning routine, and because I did it successfully, and because I did it every morning and I felt filled up and positive, I started gaining confidence in my ability to do things that make me happy. So I would start doing things that make you happy, that make you feel good, and then do things in the least amount of pressure environment as possible. I don't know if that will help, but that's where I would start. And then soon you'll start to trust yourself because you follow through, you're doing things, you're able to solve things, and then you're going to get more confident, and then it builds and builds and builds, and hopefully you get momentum. And if you're really wanting to dive deeper into it, I would get Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. That book really explains really well the idea of wiring and firing the same emotions, the same patterns in your body, and understanding how that could be manifesting in your life. So that's what I would do. Hopefully that helps. And if not, let me know and we can chat on DMs or an email. We could even have a conversation. I'm totally open to it.